Imagine a railway stretching over 3,750 kilometers, slicing through the heart of South America, connecting the Atlantic to the Pacific, and transforming the economic and geopolitical landscape of an entire continent. This is the vision of the Central Bi-Oceanic Railway, a megaproject under construction that links Brazil, Bolivia, and Peru, with ambitions to rival the Panama Canal as a trade artery. This is Megalith. Please subscribe for the best megaprojects. The Central Bi-Oceanic Railway's engineering demands are formidable, with precise figures underscoring its complexity across 3,750 kilometers. The route requires constructing approximately 1,500 kilometers of new track, including 200 kilometers of tunnels through the Andes, where each kilometer costs up to $40 million due to the need for stable earthquake-resistant designs in rock faces reaching 7,000 meters high. To maintain freight train gradients below 1% essential for trains carrying up to 10,000 tons at 120 km/h engineers plan 150 viaducts, spanning valleys at an average cost of $25 million each. In Brazil's flood-prone plains, 500 kilometers of elevated track mitigates seasonal inundation, using 2.5 million cubic meters of ballast and 1.2 million prefabricated concrete sleepers, laid with GPS-guided machinery achieving 1 millimeter alignment accuracy. Bolivia's 1,000-kilometer section, bridging the Eastern and Andes networks, incorporates 10,000 tons of steel rails, while Peru's 750-kilometer descent to Ilo requires 50,000 tons of reinforced concrete for coastal stabilization. The 2016 to 2017 INECO study projects a total infrastructure cost of $12 billion, with 20 million man-hours and 500 pieces of heavy machinery, including 50 tunnel boring machines, deployed across the project. Conceived in 2013 during a meeting between Bolivian President Evo Morales and Chinese President Xi Jinping, this transcontinental marvel is not just a railway, it's a bold statement of connectivity, ambition, and engineering prowess. With an estimated cost of $10 to $15 billion, the project promises to reshape trade routes, uplift economies, and overcome formidable natural barriers, all while navigating a labyrinth of environmental, social, and political challenges. As the world watches, the Central Bi-Oceanic Railway is emerging as one of the most audacious infrastructure endeavors of the 21st century, a testament to human ingenuity and the relentless pursuit of progress. The project's origins trace back to a shared desire among South American nations to break free from the constraints of geography. South America's trade has long been hampered by its rugged terrain, the Andes Mountains, the Amazon rainforest, and vast flood-prone plains. For landlocked Bolivia, the lack of direct coastal access has been a persistent economic chokehold, leaving it dependent on neighboring countries' ports. Brazil, a global agricultural powerhouse, faces bottlenecks in its Atlantic ports, with goods like soybeans and grain taking weeks to reach Asian markets via the Panama Canal or circuitous maritime routes. Peru, meanwhile, seeks to cement its role as a Pacific gateway for the continent. The Central Bi-Oceanic Railway addresses these challenges head-on, proposing a 3,750-kilometer route from the port of Santos in Brazil, through Bolivia's rugged interior to the port of Ilo in Peru. By connecting these nations, the railway aims to slash transportation times by up to 30%, reduce shipping costs, and open new markets, particularly in Asia, where demand for South American commodities is insatiable. The engineering demands of this project are nothing short of Herculean. The railway must traverse some of the planet's most unforgiving landscapes, starting with Brazil's fertile plains, where the route begins in Campo Norte, Goiás, and integrates with the existing North-South Railway. From there, it stretches westward through Mato Grosso, Rondônia, and Acre, regions known for their agricultural wealth, but also their susceptibility to flooding. As the line crosses into Bolivia, the terrain grows more daunting. The Andes Mountains, with peaks soaring between 4,000 and 7,000 meters, present a formidable barrier. Freight trains, the lifeblood of this corridor, require gradients no steeper than 1% to operate efficiently, a constraint that demands innovative solutions. Tunnels and viaducts, each costing up to $40 million per kilometer, are essential to maintain these gentle slopes. But Bolivia's economic limitations, its per capita income, is a fraction of wealthier nations require engineers to balance ambition with affordability. In Peru, the route descends toward the Pacific, navigating the Andes' western slopes and coastal deserts to reach Ilo, a port poised to become a bustling trade hub. The construction process itself is a marvel of modern engineering, blending cutting-edge technology with meticulous planning. Unlike traditional railway projects that unfold over decades, the Bioceanic Railway leverages prefabrication and modular construction to accelerate progress. Track sections, manufactured off-site to exacting standards, are transported to construction zones, where they are laid with GPS-guided precision. This approach minimizes on-site delays and ensures the structural integrity of the tracks, which must withstand the weight of heavy freight trains traveling at speeds up to 120 kilometers per h. In Bolivia, where the existing rail network is fragmented, split between the eastern network near Brazil and the Andes network toward Chile, new infrastructure is being built to bridge the gap between Santa Cruz and Cochabamba. This central section, cutting through the Andes, is the project's engineering heart, requiring tunnels that burrow through solid rock and viaducts that span deep valleys. Drones and satellite imagery guide the alignment process, ensuring millimeter-level accuracy, while automated machinery streamlines the laying of ballast and rails. The project's international scope adds another layer of complexity. Coordination among Brazil, Bolivia, and Peru is critical, as each nation manages its section of the railway while adhering to shared technical standards. The choice of standard gauge tracks, as recommended by a 2017 feasibility study conducted by Spanish engineering firm Inico, ensures compatibility across borders and maximizes efficiency for freight transport. The study, commissioned by Peru's Ministry of Transport, analyzed route options, freight demand forecasts through 2055, and infrastructure costs, concluding that the railway could handle up to 50 million tons of cargo annually, far exceeding initial estimates. China's involvement, through expertise and potential financing, brings additional resources, but also geopolitical nuances. Chinese firms, with their extensive experience in high-speed rail and megaprojects, are poised to supply equipment and technical know-how, potentially integrating made-in-China technology that prioritizes safety and cost-effectiveness. The benefits of the Central Bi-Oceanic Railway are as vast as the continent it seeks to unite. Economically, it promises to transform trade dynamics. For Brazil, the railway will decongest its overburdened Atlantic ports, reducing shipping costs for grain by approximately $30 per ton and cutting transit times to Asia by up to 2 weeks. Bolivia, the project's chief advocate, stands to gain the most. As a landlocked nation, it will become a central hub, linking the Atlantic and Pacific and unlocking its natural resources, minerals, hydrocarbons, and agricultural products for global markets. Peru will solidify its role as South America's Pacific gateway, with the port of Ilo poised to rival established hubs like Callao. The railway will also foster regional integration, connecting remote communities and stimulating economic activity along its route. By 2025, when Bolivia celebrates its bicentennial, the railway is projected to transport 7 million passengers and 10,000 tons of cargo annually, with potential for rapid growth, according to UNASUR's former Secretary General Ernesto Samper Pizano. Beyond economics, the railway holds strategic significance. It offers an alternative to the Panama Canal, which faces capacity constraints and environmental challenges, such as declining water levels. Dubbed the Panama Canal of the 21st century, the railway could shift global trade patterns, positioning South America as a pivotal player in transcontinental commerce. For China, a key partner, the project aligns with its Belt and Road Initiative, extending its influence in Latin America, the world's second-largest trading partner after the United States. The railway's completion could also inspire similar connectivity projects, such as extensions to Paraguay and Argentina, further knitting the continent together. Yet the path to completion is fraught with challenges, both technical and societal. The Andes' geological instability prone to earthquakes and landslides poses significant risks, requiring robust engineering solutions to ensure the railway's longevity. The Amazon rainforest, through which parts of the route pass, is a biodiversity hotspot, and 4 of the 5 proposed routes cross protected areas or indigenous reserves, raising alarms among environmentalists and local communities. The Interoceanic Highway, a prior megaproject, serves as a cautionary tale, having triggered deforestation and lawlessness in its wake. Critics, including Cesar Gamboa of Peru's Environment and Natural Resources Law, decry the lack of transparency in assessing the railway's ecological and social impacts, warning that rushed construction could devastate fragile ecosystems and displace indigenous groups. The Brazilian Amazonian Network of Georeferenced Socio-Environmental Information estimates that 600 indigenous communities could be affected, amplifying calls for rigorous environmental studies and community consultations. Politically, the project faces hurdles as well. Bolivia's unstable political climate, particularly following Evo Morales' ousting in 2019, has slowed progress, as has the need for trilateral cooperation among nations with differing priorities. Financing remains a sticking point, with the $15 billion price tag requiring substantial investment from international partners like China, Germany, and the Latin American Development Bank, CA, which provided a $3 million grant for pre-investment studies in 2019. Delays in securing funds and aligning national policies could push the completion date beyond the aspirational 2025 target, with some estimates suggesting 2030 or later. Moreover, the project's reliance on Chinese involvement has sparked skepticism in Brazil and Peru, where concerns about economic dependency and environmental stewardship linger. Despite these obstacles, recent developments signal momentum. In January 2023, Bolivia and Colombia reaffirmed their commitment, while Brazil and Chile, in August 2024, emphasized accelerating construction during a bilateral business forum. The Asunción Declaration of 2015, signed by Brazil, Chile, Argentina, and Paraguay, laid the groundwork for a broader Bi-Oceanic corridor, suggesting potential expansions. Feasibility studies, conducted by firms like Spain's FIV and Inico, have addressed technical challenges, such as track gauge compatibility and freight demand, while environmental assessments by INECO aim to mitigate ecological harm. These efforts reflect a growing consensus that the railway's benefits, economic growth, regional integration, and global trade competitiveness outweigh its challenges, provided they are managed with care and transparency. As the Central Bioceanic Railway takes shape, it embodies South America's aspirations for connectivity and prosperity. Its tracks, weaving through plains, mountains, and jungles, symbolize a continent striving to overcome its geographical and historical divides. The engineering feats, tunnels piercing the Andes, viaducts spanning rivers, and tracks laid with surgical precision rival the great infrastructure projects of history, from the Transcontinental Railroad to the Suez Canal. Yet its success hinges on balancing ambition with responsibility, ensuring that economic gains do not come at the expense of the environment or indigenous rights. If completed, this railway will not only link 2 oceans, but also herald a new era for South America, one where borders blur, economies thrive, and the continent claims its place at the forefront of global trade. The world is watching, and the Central Bioceanic Railway is poised to redefine what's possible. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to help us deliver you the best mega projects worldwide.